This is Fox 26 Morning News Extra.
Good morning to you and welcome to Fox 26 Morning News Extra. I'm Mike Iskowitz.
And I'm Melissa Wilson. Today, the president presents his plan for an immigration overhaul on a day after we heard from a bipartisan group of senators.
Yeah, they suggest a path to citizenship for 11 million illegal immigrants who are already living here in the U.S. And as Fox's Carl Cameron reports, that proposal might actually stand a chance.
A day before the president unveils his immigration reform plan in Las Vegas, a bipartisan group of senators laid down their framework on the controversial issue.
We do not want immigration as a wedge issue. Much rather, we want a bipartisan bill that solves the problem and becomes law.
4 Democrats joined 4 Republicans, including Arizona Senator John McCain, a top GOP advocate for immigration reform for years, and influential freshman Florida Senator Marco Rubio, who's of Cuban descent.
I live surrounded by immigrants. My neighbors are immigrants. My family's immigrants, married into a family of immigrants. And as most Americans, I recognize how critical an immigration system that works has been for our heritage as it is for our history, for our future.
The Republican Party is losing the support of our Hispanic citizens. And we realize that there are many issues in which we think we are in agreement with our Hispanic citizens, but this is a preeminent issue with those citizens.
The Gang of Eight's framework includes a path to citizenship for the 11 million immigrants here illegally, contingent first on verifiably securing the border, reducing the number of visa overstays, an e-verify system to prevent undocumented workers, and a ban on illegal aliens receiving federal assistance, including Obamacare. The plan includes a guest worker program for lower-skilled jobs and green cards for immigrants with advanced degrees. Senate Democratic Majority Leader Harry Reid jumped aboard.
I pledge I'll do everything in my power as the majority leader to get a bill across the finish line.
Current illegal immigrants would have to pass background checks, pay fines and taxes, but then be allowed to stay legally while they apply for green cards and eventual citizenship. The latest Fox News poll shows 66% favor a path to citizenship, 17% say illegal immigrants should be deported, 13% support a guest worker program, but only for a limited time. A path to citizenship has been stalled in Congress for years amid criticism that comments like this make it sound like amnesty.
Immediately, when the bill passes, people who are here living in the shadows would get a legal right to stay here and work. They would no longer be deported, provided they don't have a criminal record.
President Obama was chastised by members of both parties for not pushing immigration reform in his first term. There's now broad support for a bipartisan deal. But as lawmakers up here love to say, the devil's in the details, and they haven't even begun to talk about him yet. At the Capitol, Carl Cameron, Fox News.
A White House official says the senator's plan is similar to the one the president is expected to announce today.
And joining us this morning is a gentleman you probably know. Gordon Quan is an immigration attorney here in Houston, and he's here to discuss in depth these proposals. Sir, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Mike and Melissa. Good seeing you.
It's nice to have you with us. Have you had a chance to look over this senator's proposal, and do you think it's a step in the right direction?
I have. As a matter of fact, for the last 2 months, I've been in Washington visiting with members of Congress and talking to people in the administration. And the outline that they presented is very, very consistent with what they've been talking about and addresses many of the main points. But as they said, again, the devil's in the details.
Things like this are always so controversial, Gordon, and I was a little surprised to see that in at least the government survey that 66% of people were in favor of this. How do you think that compares to the Houston area? Does it seem like fewer people will be happy about it? Because our Facebook fan page is blowing up. People are really not happy about this.
Well, Melissa, you know, always those who are, I think, discontent will speak out louder. But a survey that was done by the Americans for Immigration Reform found that there are approximately 400,000 undocumented people in the Houston area. So I think with our immigrant community, the diversity of people we have, there's a great amount of support for this legislation.
A lot of the argument, Mr. Quan, against it is that the people who would be given this quote-unquote amnesty would sort of jump the line ahead of the people who sort of waited in line and did everything the right way. As an immigration attorney, can you explain to us briefly what is the process if somebody, let's say, is in Mexico, Guatemala, and wanted to go through all the proper channels to come here? What would they have to do as opposed to just sort of sneaking in?
Well, Mike, they'd have to have an underlying basis, either a relative to sponsor them or a job to sponsor them. in order to get a visa to come to the United States. There are long quotas right now, and for a brother or sister, it may be 12, 15 years before they come up to the top of the line.
Wow.
For a skilled worker, 6 years, even if you have a university degree. I know the administration is very cognizant of the concern of people jumping the line. I was practicing in '86 when we had the last amnesty, and those people got their green cards faster. They don't want to do that this time. They want to avoid that appearance that people who are violating the law get a better benefit than those who follow the law. So the talk I've heard from Washington is that there's going to be a special set aside to try to clear up the backlogs first before these people have a chance to get their permanent resident visas.
Senators also want to reform the legal immigration system, including awarding green cards to immigrants who maybe obtain advanced degrees. What is your thought about that, and will that push people more toward education to try to do this legally?
You know, Melissa, I think it's really funny that currently under the India and the Chinese quota, even if you have a skill in the national interest that we need and we know we need, you're waiting 6 years before you can come to the United States. I mean, we're cutting off our nose to save our face. So I'm certainly in favor of a program that would allow those who have talents and skills that can help our economy now be able to come within a reasonable period of time.
Mr. Quan, what's getting the most headlines is the path to citizenship, but there has to be a compromise that the Democrats are compromising with the Republicans on, and that is stronger border control and enforcing that border more. What steps do you think could be taken in that direction that would gain bipartisan support and the president's support?
Well, Mike, as you see, they proposed some type of commission that would work with the border governors and local individuals regarding securing the border. That, to me, has been a red herring for a long time. Anytime you talk about immigration reform, people say, wait, I need to secure the borders first. I think this is an attempt to say, we have heard your complaints. We will work with you first. I've been to the border. I have friends who live on the border. To get from Nuevo Laredo to McAllen takes a long time and takes a lot of inspections. I have a friend, it's easier to get from McAllen to Houston than to cross the border because of so much security on the border as it is now.
Wow, very interesting insight. Thank you so much, Mr. Quan, because that really, helped us sort of get some clarity as to the debate and what's going on. Hopefully we can get this problem ultimately solved. Thank you for being with us.
Always an honor to talk to you.
Keep our fingers crossed.
Another issue being debated in Washington, gun control.